إذا الأمجاد قد عظمت فللأمجاد بانيها ومن يسعى إلى العليا.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Juz 8. ولو أننا نزلنا إليهم الملائكة وكلمهم الموتى وحشرنا عليهم كل شيء قبلا ما كانوا ليؤمنوا. At the end of the 7th juz, mention is made of the mushrikeen's request that if they are shown a physical miracle, then they will believe. At the beginning of the 8th juz, we are informed that they are liars, even if they are shown a physical miracle, so much so that if a dead person from the grave comes to life and speaks to them, they will still not believe. Thereafter, Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam is consoled that he should not become worried about their opposition, mockery and denial. The shayateen from man and jinn have always followed this pattern with every prophet and Nabi. Besides this, there is no need for the miracle they desire to prove your prophethood. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has bestowed you with many miracles, the greatest being the Quran. Therefore, in spite of seeing and hearing this miracle, if they deny, then do not be disturbed, because many people living on earth are such that they leave guidance and incline towards misguidance. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala states, if you have to follow most of the people in the world, they will lead you astray from the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَإِن تُطِعْ أَكْثَرَ مَنْ فِي الْأَرْضِ يُضِلُّكَ عَنْ سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ. In this verse, there is negation of a certain democracy, because in it, majority opinion is taken into consideration even if it is contrary to the Quran and Sunnah, whereas it is the unanimous belief of the Muslims that if all the people in the world are unanimous on anything which is against a clear judgment of the Quran and Sunnah, then their unanimity will not be regarded and will be rejected. Now, other important points mentioned in this surah are: number 1, at the beginning of the second ruku, we are told that the example of a believer is like a living person who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given light. An example of a disbeliever is that of a dead person who is drowned in darkness. أو من كان ميتا فأحييناه وجعلنا له نورا يمشي به في الناس كمن مثله في الظلمات ليس بخارج منها. From this ayat. Point number 2, Iman and guidance is only in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He grants it to whoever He wishes. Point number 3, after mentioning the guided and misguided groups, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala states that He will gather them all on the day of Qiyamah. Then every person will be rewarded or punished according to his actions. Point number 4, from amongst the many foolish acts which the mushrikeen used to perpetrate, one was that their animals and crops they would allot a portion for Allah Ta'ala and a portion for the partners which they had ascribed with Allah. They would not allow that portion which was for their idols to get mixed with that portion which was allocated for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. However, if the portion which was for Allah got mixed with that portion which was for their idols, then they would not regard it as bad. وَجَعَلُوا لِلَّهِ مِمَّا ذَرَأَ مِنَ الْحَرْثِ وَالْأَنْعَامِ. From that ayat. Another foolish act is that they used to kill their daughters due to poverty or shame. وَكَذَلِكَ زَيَّنَ لِكَثِيرٍ مِنَ الْمُشْرِكِينَ قَتْلَ أَوْلَادِهِمْ شُرَكَاؤُهُمْ. In this ayat, from amongst the great favors of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam on women, one favor was that he explained verbally and practically that the presence of a daughter is not a source of shame, nor is it a cause of increase in poverty. Rather, it is a mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The foolish act of the mushrikeen which the Quran shows is that they divided their livestock into different groups. Some were kept especially for their fortune tellers and religious leaders. They regarded it as impermissible to ride some of them or to take benefit from them. Some animals were such that at the time of slaughtering they would not take Allah's name but the name of their idols. A fourth act of foolishness was that if from their livestock a live animal was born, they regarded it as halal for the men and haram for the women. However, if it was stillborn, then it was regarded as halal for both men and women. After mentioning their foolishness, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reminds them of His favors, that He is that being who has created gardens and different types of fruits like olives and pomegranates. He is that Allah who created small and big animals for the purpose of carrying loads and for obtaining meat and milk. The choice of regarding these animals as well as other edibles as halal and haram lies only with Allah. Whatever He wishes, He declares halal, and whatever He wishes, He declares haram. Important point number 5 of the surah, of this juz. After refuting the beliefs and claims of the mushrikeen, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives 10 advices upon which all heavenly shariats and books are unanimous, and which all religions call towards. By practicing on them, a person's success is guaranteed and he attains the life of respect and honor in this world and in the hereafter, which Allah Ta'ala desires to grant him. The 10 advices are: Number 1, worship Allah alone and do not ascribe any partner with Him. Number 2, treat one's parents kindly and do not cause any verbal or physical harm to them. Number 3, do not kill one's children due to fear of poverty or disgrace and shame. Number 4, abstain from all types of internal and external immorality. Number 5, to kill any human being unjustly is haram. This is an extremely grave sin. Point number 6, do not use the wealth of an orphan incorrectly. 7, to give in full when weighing or measuring. 8, be just and fair to all humans, whether it be your close family person or enemy. 9, fulfill your pledge with Allah. And number 10, follow the straight path, Sirat al-Mustaqim, and abstain from following other paths. After mentioning these advices, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam to proclaim openly, and Allah Ta'ala, my Rabb, has granted me guidance to the correct path. This is the same straight religion of the father of Ibrahim, of the Anbiya, Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salam, and he was not from the polytheists. Say, verily my salah, my other forms of worship, my living and my death, all my actions are only for Allah, and from these actions I desire the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the master of the universe. He has no partner. With this I have been commanded, and I am first to submit. The surah ends on this point, that this world and whatever is in it is only as a trial and examination, so that the believer and disbeliever, good and evil, may be differentiated. قُلْ إِنِّ صَلَاتِي وَنُسُكِي وَمَحْيَايَ وَمَمَاتِي etc. لِلَّهِ رَبِّ الْعَالَمِينَ. This ends Surah. Next we have Surah Al-A'raf. This is a Makki surah. It comprises of 206 verses. Like other Makki surahs, special importance is given to the 3 basic tenets of belief. At the beginning of this surah, Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam's everlasting miracle, the Quran, is mentioned, which is the greatest of Allah's favors upon man. In this surah, man's attention is also turned to another favor of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. All of mankind have been created from one Father, so that they may assist each other and so that they may remember that they are brothers. Similarly, in this surah there is mention of the honor bestowed upon man by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He created man with his hands, blew his spirit into him, and then commanded the angels to prostrate before him. Included in this incident is advice to save ourselves from the tricks and evil planning of Shaitan, since he is such a cunning enemy who is sitting at all roads trying to remove man from the straight path. ثم لآتينهم من بين أيديهم ومن خلفهم وعن أيمانهم وعن شمائلهم. This ayat. The clash which Shaitan has with man, which began when he refused to prostrate before man, will continue till Qiyamah, and there will always remain in some form a clash between good and evil, truth and falsehood. One speciality of Surah Al-A'raf worth mentioning is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has addressed man 4 times continuously with the title of Ya Bani Adam, O children of Adam. In no other surah are these 4 vocations used. The first proclamation is in verse number 26, Ya Bani Adam qad anzalna alaykum libasan yuwari sawatikum warisha, in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions his favor of clothing. O children of Adam, we have sent down upon you clothing which conceals your private parts and is a means of beautification. And the clothing of taqwa is better. وَلِبَاسُ التَّقْوَى ذَلِكَ خَيْرٌ. The second proclamation is also in verse number 27, wherein we are warned by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to save ourselves from the evil of shaitan. لَا يَفْتِنَنَّكُمُ الشَّيْطَانُ Ya Bani Adam la yaftinannakum ash-shaytanu. O children of Adam, let not shaitan deceive you as he had taken your parents out of Jannah, removing from them their clothing so that he can make apparent their private parts. The third proclamation is in verse number 31. Ya Bani Adam khudhu zinatakum inda kulli masjid. O children of Adam, adopt clothing of beauty at the time of every salah. Eat, drink and do not waste. Verily Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not like those who waste. The fourth proclamation is in verse number 35. Ya Bani Adam imma yatiyannakum rusulum. O children of Adam, if a messenger comes to you from amongst you who conveys to you my verses, then he who chooses taqwa and rectifies himself, there will be no fear upon them, nor will they grieve. This repeated address to the progeny of Adam alayhi salam is so that they can be saved from the tricks of shayateen. It must not happen that we hear his deceitful words and fall into deception. Shaitan is a very cunning enemy. Outwardly, he puts the clothing of a friend. He is a cunning fox who presents himself in disguise of a well-wisher. He knows well the art of presenting truth as falsehood, falsehood as truth, good as evil and evil as good. Those people in this world who do the same are in reality the agents of shaitan. A point to note here is that the first 3 proclamations refer to clothing. In the second proclamation we are told that the accursed Iblis was the cause for their clothing being removed and private parts being exposed. Thus a great goal of shaitan is to deprive the progeny of Adam alayhi salam of the clothing of shame and modesty and to place them on the road of immorality and nakedness. Thus, clothing which fulfills the needs of covering one's private parts is the thing which creates a distinction between man and beasts. Animals have been created naked and remained like this, whereas Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has granted a person, a human being, honor and virtue with clothing. Today we see the rising of immorality due to the Western media and the environment of shamelessness in the name of women's emancipation. Then we will understand why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran has chosen this manner of repetition and emphasis regarding clothing. Other important points in this surah are, number 1, the mushrikeen would make tawaf of Baytullah naked. The proof for this evil action and other similar evils was that their ancestors would do the same. Sometimes they would say that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has commanded them likewise. Refuting this claim, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala states that He does not command any action of immodesty. Therefore, their claim is nothing but lies and slander. Islam is a religion which fulfills all permissible demands of life. Therefore, it is not possible that it will prevent one from wearing clothes and consuming pure and wholesome food. In here, there is also refutation of those people who follow monasticism and regard abstaining from halal and pure things as a means of gaining Allah's closeness. In reality, a complete and perfect believer is he who fulfills the permissible demands and needs of both body and soul in this world and in the hereafter. When Sayyidina Salman Farsi radiallahu ta'ala came to know that Sayyidina Abu Darda radiallahu ta'ala would fast daily and stand up for salah the whole night, and his preoccupation with ibadat was so much that he would not fulfill his wife's rights, he advised him saying, "Verily your Rabb has a right over you, your nafs, your body has a right over you, your family, people have a right over you. Therefore fulfill everyone's rights." Sayyidina Abu Darda radiallahu ta'ala mentioned Sayyidina Salman Farsi radiallahu ta'ala's advice to Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who said, "Salman has spoken the truth." In the 11th and 12th ruku of this juz, two such great groups are mentioned who are completely opposite to each other in beliefs, thoughts, ideas and practice. One group has chosen the road of stubbornness, pride and kufr, disbelief. Their final result is nothing but Jahannam. The second group treads the path of Iman, obedience, submission and compliance. They are by the kindness of Allah Ta'ala worthy of Jannah. When these groups reach their abodes and destinations, the Quran Kareem describes the conversation which will take place with each other. The people of Jannah will ask those in the fire, "Today, do you now have conviction in the truthfulness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's promise or not?" They will confess in their answer, "Yes, we have found the promise to be true and correct." وَنَادَى أَصْحَابُ الْجَنَّةِ أَصْحَابَ النَّارِ قَدْ وَجَدْنَا مَا وَعَدَنَا رَبُّنَا حَقًّا فَهَلْ وَجَدْتُمْ مَا وَعَدَ رَبُّكُمْ حَقًّا. When the people of Jahannam become agitated due to the intense heat, their thirst and hunger, they will still stretch out their hand, begging the believers to give some food and drink. However, it is apparent that their asking will be fruitless. This discussion is mentioned in verse 44 onwards. There is also a third group which the Quran calls Ashabul A'raf. They are such people who were believers but remain behind in doing good deeds. They will neither be entered into Jannah nor Jahannam. Their judgment will be delayed. Finally, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will grant them permission to enter Jannah. There will be a discussion between the people of Jahannam and Ashabul A'raf. After this discussion, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes mention of three important proofs showing His oneness and power. Point number 1, the 7 skies, one on top of the other, each one of them is like a dome over the other. These 7 skies, in spite of their vastness and greatness, are standing without any pillars. Point number 2, the vastness of Allah's Arsh, divine throne, is such that all the heavens and earth cannot encompass it. None of us can even imagine its greatness and grandeur, because the kursi, the divine chair, in relation to it is like a ring, small ring in a huge and vast desert. The kursi's size is such that it encompasses the earth and heavens. So what must be the size of the arsh? The arsh and kursi are amongst those realities which we believe in, but we do not know their condition. Point number 3. The third proof mentioned here is the creation of the sun, moon and the stars. All these things are under the will and power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They are orbiting around in such vast areas which we cannot comprehend. Neither do they clash, nor do they move away from their orbits. Finally, the incidents of 6 prophets are mentioned briefly, i.e. Sayyidina Nuh alayhi salam, Hud alayhi salam, Salih alayhi salam, Lut alayhi salam, Shu'aib alayhi salam and Musa alayhi salam. The first incident is regarding Sayyidina Nuh alayhi salam, and the last is that of Sayyidina Shu'aib alayhi salam. Some of the wisdoms and lessons hidden in these incidents are: number 1, to give solace to Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, console him over the difficulties inflicted by his enemies. Number 2, to show the evil end of proud people and the good ending of the pious. Number 3, to warn that in the court of Allah there is sometimes a delay for justice to be meted out, but Allah is not unaware. Eventually the oppressors will receive punishment for their oppression. Number 4, to prevent a proof of the truthfulness of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam's prophethood, that in spite of being unlettered, he used to present the lost scrolls of history in accordance with the facts. And number 5, to present incidents from which man can take lesson and to offer advice as well at the same time. This ends juz number 8.